With the coronavirus outbreak, social divides throughout the country are getting larger and more alarming. In response, Lawyers for Civil Rights is trying to address critical needs in areas such as immigration, education, housing, and the 2020 census. To tell us about the group's legal and policy initiative is its Community Outreach and Engagement Paralegal, Jake Lebovic. Thank you very much for being with us, Jake.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Jake, I want to start with your job description here, community outreach. What are you hearing from the community now?
Yeah, so my role as community outreach paralegal is to serve as a liaison between our legal team and the communities that we serve. So I am trying to make sure that our communities have access to our team and that our team is serving the needs that we're seeing on the ground. And right now what we're seeing is that things are pretty tough. We're seeing that families are struggling to pay rent. We're seeing that they're having difficulty putting food on the table, that they are losing jobs. And what we're trying to do is we are launching a comprehensive policy initiative across all of our areas of expertise to make sure that these families and workers have access to the resources that they most are in need of. We are encouraging families to reach out if they are in need of cash assistance. We're connecting them with those resources and directing them to resources that are available. We are helping workers who have been unable to access unemployment assistance get access to that assistance. So we're encouraging folks to reach out through our online intake system to call us directly, and we are here to make sure that those families and workers are able to secure the relief that they need.
Now, sometimes workers are not eligible for unemployment simply because they're not full-time regular employees. They might be classified as independent workers. But what about people who have problems with immigration status, at least concerns about that status? They're not eager to give information to people they don't know very well. What would you say to people like that?
Yeah, so we serve especially immigrants and the undocumented immigrant community, and we encourage them to reach out to us to make sure that they get the help that they need regardless of their status. We have bilingual staff on hand that speak English and Spanish, and we are familiar working with those communities. All of their information is confidential, and we just want to make sure that they are able to secure that assistance that they need.
Now, what I also see here is that Lawyers for Civil Rights is also working with other groups to make changes in the law so more people can get help. Could you give any example of that?
Yeah, so we work closely with our community groups. They are the ones that really serve as the voices on the ground to connect those communities with us. We are making sure that students are able to access free lunches. Normally, they are the ones who, they're often students who get their meals through schools, and with schools being shut down, they don't have places to go. So one of the things that we were working on was making sure that they do have access to those meals, and fortunately now they do. On our landing page that we've launched on our website, lawyersforcivilrights.org/coronavirus, we have a comprehensive list of some of those resources available as a result of those advocacy initiatives that we worked on. The page is offered in English, Spanish, and Chinese, and folks can look at those resources on issues like getting free school lunches, on access to cash assistance, and general practical information.
What about access to education? People have to learn at home. Some people are better equipped to do that than others. How are you helping level the playing field on that?
Yeah, so we are making sure that that is one of the issues that we haven't worked on quite as closely. Our staff attorney, Janelle Dempsey, is working on our education initiatives, and she's been focused really on making sure that students have access to meals as of right now. But that is one of the issues that we're continuing to work on. But one of the things that I also wanted to address actually was our small business initiative. So what we're doing is we are providing free services to small businesses that are hit hardest by this pandemic. We have launched an initiative in partnership with Ropes and Gray and some of our other top law firms in the city to make sure that those businesses that are hardest hit have access to help to weather the storm. We're hearing from small businesses that have brick and mortar shops that because of the closures, they haven't been able to make any money. They're not getting customers. So we're helping connect them with attorneys that can provide them advice and assistance to make sure that they get help on issues like not being able to pay their commercial rent.
Now, does that mean that these businesses are faced with evictions in the very near future, or are you talking about some other legal problems?
So right now, that is not as something that we're seeing yet, but it is something that is a big concern, both for businesses and for families. Families are reaching out to us because they're concerned about not being able to pay rent. Fortunately, there is a moratorium on evictions in Massachusetts, but folks don't necessarily know that. They don't know that even if they have received an eviction notice, it doesn't mean that they actually have to leave. So we are ensuring that folks get the information that they need, both businesses and families, regarding their ability to pay rent and what is happening related to evictions.
One of the other things going on here that the Lawyers Committee, Lawyers for Civil Rights rather, has been working on is immigration enforcement. We hear that the federal government is scaling back on that in some ways, but you still have some major concerns, don't you?
We do have some concerns. I can't speak too much in detail about this case, but we are trying to make sure that those folks that are in immigration detention in places where the virus is spreading so quickly are able to be safe and not have to be at risk of contracting the infection or potentially facing death.
I want to ask you about doing legal work at a time like this with all of the social distancing that's required. What's that like for people at Lawyers for Civil Rights right now?
Yeah, so we've been forced to adapt our approach, but we are engaging in creative ways to continue to provide that assistance. We are offering workshops on a range of issues over Zoom. Just tomorrow, I'll be running a workshop over Zoom for communities in the North Shore in Spanish, particularly for undocumented communities, on what to do related to housing issues. We've also launched a daily Facebook series where every day at 10 a.m. we're featuring Facebook videos in 10-minute segments each day from a different one of our legal team members. Just today, my video went live on the importance of the census and continuing to fill out the census even amidst this crisis. Just the other week, one of our most popular videos was submitted by our staff attorney, Sophia Hall, on workers' rights. So we're continuing to engage in creative initiatives like that, and we'll adapt as we need to.
I want to ask you about the census. I think for quite a while, we've been expecting a lot of apprehension among immigrants because of the way things have been rolled out by the Trump administration. But right now, with the distancing that's required, people not being able to do things person to person, how do you overcome that with getting a full count?
Yeah, fortunately, the census is just as easy to fill out as ever. It can be completed online without leaving your home, without having to interact with any census workers. We are encouraging folks to reach out to our census hotline. We have a census hotline in English and Spanish where folks can ask questions, both general and legal, about the census. One of the things that we're hearing questions about is confidentiality of the census. If I am an immigrant and I'm undocumented, if I am doubled up in my home, I don't want immigration, I don't want my landlord to know about it. But fortunately, the census is 100% confidential. Your answers will not be shared with anyone outside the Census Bureau. It is strictly forbidden. The law states that they cannot share it with an ICE agent, with your landlord, with an employer, your neighbor, not with anyone. So, and this is a pretty strict law in the Census Act, and it hasn't been breached in the history of the Act. So we're continuing to spread the information and particularly connect with communities on the ground and some of our trusted community partners to share that message. And we hope that through that message, we'll be able to continue to get our census numbers up in Massachusetts.
Well, I know the Lawyers for Civil Rights recently got a grant from the Boston Foundation in response to the virus. And anything else you want to add about things that you can do for people right now?
Yeah, so we are encouraging folks to reach out to our intake line. That number I can give as well. It's 617-981-4308. And encouraging folks as well to go online to our website, lawyersforcivilrights.org, to submit online intake so we can see how we can help you secure assistance. We are encouraging anyone to reach out. We are working tirelessly to make sure that the communities that we serve, those immigrants and communities of colors, get access to the resources they need. And we hope to reach out and fight for them.